Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and whatever time zone you find yourself. I'm Larry Bridgesmith. I'm very grateful to have been chosen to serve as the chair of the leadership team at BIM Heroes. And I want to introduce you to some of our BIM Hero presenters and leaders in the organization. I'll have them introduce themselves in but a moment. But today, our topic is going to be focused upon authentic presence. What is a leader's responsibility to the group with whom he or she works to be authentic and present in the work? It's really a leadership style that engenders trust, and it's not through position or force, but through genuine connection. And that's what we are hoping to explore today. So I'm going to ask our dear friends, Daniel Stephen and ALShimaa Allam, to introduce themselves. Just take 2 minutes to tell us who you are. Let me start with ALShimaa.
Okay, I am ALShimaa Allam. I have spent 24 years in the AEC industry. I am a structural engineer originally. I have earned my professional engineering license, and I have 2 theses in dynamic analysis. Okay, I earned my BMB, and I have recently earned my MBA. I have spent all my life within the AEC industry as the engineering is my hobby in the first place. It's not only my profession, it's my hobby. That's why I like the profession very much, though having colleagues in the engineering world have helped me a lot to have a vision in my life, to do my best to help them, to support them. That's why AEC for me is not only my profession, it's my work. I am trying to put always the fingerprint, a new innovation in each and every project I am in.
Thank you, ALShimaa. Appreciate having you. We all know you to be an extraordinarily active group in the BIM Heroes Association, and we appreciate all you do for the group. Daniel, tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Daniel Stephen. I am the community ambassador in BIM Heroes for Nigeria, also part of the Leadership Council of BIM Hero DAO. I'm very much excited to be in the webinar today and our discussion. I represent the next generation of AEC leaders who strive to do differently, to build differently, to think differently, to lead differently. And I carry those aspirations as I transit in this journey. So I'm excited today.
Well, we are excited to have you both. And I think the topic today is of particular relevance to the role that you all have each shown that you play in the organization. We're talking about authentic presence, and there are many ways to think about that. The point I think that is most important for us is to understand how it plays into leadership, especially in an organization such as BIM Heroes, which we intend to be and have proven to be a very flat organization, meaning not hierarchical. Our goal is to have great collaboration as well as participation. So, Daniel, how would you define authentic presence in your world and through your experience?
Well, authentic presence in leadership for me is about leading with the whole of oneself. When I approach leadership not just as a role or as a title, but I approach it as something from the heart. In the traditional sense of leadership, we try to keep one's authentic self from the role. But personally, for me and the next generation of leaders, we seek to bring the full of ourselves, the whole of ourselves to leadership. And that means being your true self, not keeping a part of you outside of leadership, but being authentic, being real, being true. The way you're perceived externally should be the way you're perceived internally. And it has a whole lot to do with understanding yourself and how people perceive you.
Very well said. And I think that integration of self and vulnerability, transparency, as you suggest, are very vital for leadership characteristics. ALShimaa, what does it mean to you? What is authentic presence in your leadership experience?
Okay, it's about integration. Integrating my characteristics, my competitive advantage with the team competitive advantage and the environment competitive advantage. My opinion, it is one of the most specification of leadership that can attach with me since I was younger even. Because usually when I had a problem with one of my team members have a problem in a project, usually I sit in his place and check specifically what's happening. This is since ever have been my methodology. That's why being a BIM hero brought this again from the start. How to sit in the audience place and see what's happening, how to integrate and be in the leadership place and see what's happening, and trying to make some kind of competitive combination again on the surface, even how to challenge the outsider environments.
Well, I think I hear from both of you sort of a combination of and an integration of some leadership traits such as communication and an emotional intelligence and a degree of confidence that is not assertive, but nonetheless very real and authentic. And vulnerability, I hear that in what you're describing as well, all of which is wrapped up in integrity. So, of those characteristics, which do you find most challenging in your world and in your experience? Do any of them stand out as a target that you need to be very, very appreciative of? For me, it's difficult to be vulnerable. You know, I have this need to be seen as the know-it-all, the sage on the stage, and I have to really work hard at being honest and vulnerable. So how about you? Are any of those challenges for you?
Yeah.
ALShimaa?
Honesty is the first and ever appreciation in this type of leadership. I like honesty very much. I like to be honest. I like to be myself. This is for me is the most precious thing that I want to keep it as it is. I don't want ever to change this in my life. Also, something like would need to servant leadership. Servant leadership, it gives me the ambition of knowing more. I don't want to be the leader existing in the top, staying solid and isolated from each and everything. No, I like to be attached with what's new and what's updating. This type of leadership gives me all in one. The leadership capabilities that I have to delegate to each and everyone. On the second place, having the ambitious curiosity about what's happening in the industry.
Daniel, how about yourself? Any of those challenges to you that you've had to work hard to improve?
I align very much with what ALShimaa has said. And personally, I would say that one of the difficult challenges I've experienced in the AEC industry from leaders is vulnerability. There's this perception that a leader should be firm, shouldn't when you show vulnerability, it's like you're being weak. So you have to be the hard guy. You have to be the person who gives the orders. And most times the flaw, the challenge with this is such leaders barely listen, they barely show empathy. Most times they just want to give the instructions, they just want to give the command. But personally, I lead through authenticity, and I lead by being vulnerable. I let those who I work with to understand that I don't have it all figured out. I don't have all the answers, but we can work on this together. We can figure out a solution. And the thing with this is, in the traditional sense, if you lead this way, it's like you're weak. You're not the strong leader. But in the world we live in today, people want to be led by a leader who sees them, who listens to them and makes them feel valuable. And so, like I said, for the next generation, we want to experience a leadership that actually makes us feel seen and heard and feel valuable. And if you're a vulnerable leader, that doesn't make you weak. It just shows that you're human.
Yeah. Correct.
Oh, that's very well said. And I think you've spoken truth to a lot of the leadership that I have experienced over my career, which has historically been very hierarchical, very power driven. And I've learned that that doesn't lead people. That typically causes people to retract and possibly even resist a leader who tends to be hierarchical, command and control, and exert power to lead. So it's refreshing to hear both of you speak about integrity and vulnerability. What has helped you develop those skills over the course of your career? What practices do you engage in to help you increase your sense of authentic presence? ALShimaa?
First of all, continuous development has been my slogan since ever. I have to renew my knowledge through the industry and through my profession, and even kind of in my real life. Every and each 3 to 5 years, I have to check a new environment. I have to second, respecting the others, from the younger to the older. I respect ideas. I respect your convention. I respect your ideas on the table and try to bring them in if I am convinced with the value that they will add. Else, I have to justify. This is the third one, justification. I have to justify myself. I have to put each and every reason why I refuse and why I accept. And let the team decide. Sharing responsibilities is number 4. Sharing responsibility has been since ever, my slogan. I will not say my slogan. I would say it is combined to share responsibility with the team, with me, the people with me, so that I am not the only one to blame, and everybody defending the same decision we are going for. We are in the same ship by the end.
Well, I love that analogy. We're all in the same ship. And that means that every person has responsibilities, but it's a very interdependent relationship. The captain speaks, but the captain speaks with a team that has coordinated and independently has worked together to make the ship sail. So I love that analogy, ALShimaa. And I would say those of us who know you to be a great encourager. So you help others understand their value. Daniel, you talked about the new generation, and I think you're so wise to help us understand that leading a new generation is perhaps even more important than leading the current generation. So what advice would you give to emerging leaders about developing authentic presence? What would you tell them they need to do to increase their ability to be present with authenticity?
Yeah, I would tell them to do 2 things. First of all, know yourself. As an emerging leader, it's very important that you identify who you really are. Because if you don't know yourself, whatever the world tells you, whatever social media tells you, whatever you experience in your business or in your work, you would let that to define you. But then if you're the person who understands yourself in depth, no matter what anyone tells you, your leader, your boss, the internet, your colleagues, it wouldn't move you because you know yourself for who you truly are. And I would also tell the younger and emerging leaders to embrace the wisdom of the older generation, because the older generation have laid, you've laid a pathway for us. You've gone ahead, you've shown us what's possible and what's not. Basically, what we are doing is, we are reinventing the system, reinventing the way of work, but we cannot throw away what the older generation have done, because without the older generation in the industry, where would we be now? So, two things: know yourself, to be authentic, embrace the wisdom of the older generation, and practice mindfulness. To be an authentic leader, you have to be mindful. And this means you're constantly self-aware, constantly reflecting on where you get it right and where you don't get it right. And also paying attention when you're leading or working with a team, you need to listen. So I had this little experience where I was coordinating a team, and one of my team members was complaining, like laying a complaint to me. And for the whole moment he spoke, I was hearing him, but I wasn't listening. So when he asked me for the solution, I had to ask him to come again. And it felt like I wasn't the kind of person who pays attention to people. So it's very important to listen, not just to hear what the other person is saying, but you have to be present. You need to take in all the words and find a way to help the team to address those pain points.
Well, that's well said, and I appreciate your vulnerability in sharing that experience. And I think we can all admit in our honest moments that we don't always listen as we should. And what I've learned personally is that if I don't take the time to restate what I've heard someone say and ask if I've heard correctly, too often I'm not listening, I'm hearing. So I appreciate that example very much. But within every organization, there are issues that arise, and sometimes they conflict with our own values, our own knowing of who we are and what we are committed to. So how do you maintain your authentic presence when you're facing organizational pressures to do something that isn't consistent with your values? How do you maintain that presence when it's hard? ALShimaa, do you have a response to that?
Yes. First, I'll start with the same concept, servant leader. If you have taken this type of leadership, there is something called everybody sometimes is scared from the consequences. So take the initiation. That's why not sharing responsibility sometimes, not all the times, not the first reaction. Sometimes you have to take the initiation first, make everyone see that it's easy. It's not that hard. Later on, you start to go to the real work and start sharing responsibility. Okay, this is number one. This will remove the first impression of being scared from new things specifically. This I have faced new innovations, new implementation, new technology, and so a lot. Second, respect. Respect each and every one idea or point of view, and encourage people to say what they need. Put it with bullet point, be specific to say what they want. If you take all the bullet points together, respected them together, and make a new combination, they may even make you better. They may even update yourself. And this is magnificent. I have seen this a lot in from the body of a big, huge problem. We found a newborn of a new idea and a new initiation from the better than the old initiation. I have seen this a lot.
Well, and what you've identified is that mind of a heroic leader, and that is to keep an open mind. Because if we think we've learned everything there is to know, then we are probably not leading and helping others to grow. We have to demonstrate that we can be open to ideas that are new to us. So thank you so much for that illustration. And Daniel, we're talking about confidence and humility. They seem to be, in some ways, conflicting with each other. So how do you balance humility with confidence? That's a tough one.
Yeah, it is. It's indeed tough because when you come out as confident, people most times mistake you to be arrogant. And when you come out as humble, they think that you're not a confident person, you're weak because you choose to be humble. But then I think there's a very fine balance. Just like we say in the BIM Hero DAO, we say it's a yin yang, where you try to balance chaos and order. So it's very exciting to know that most times there are people who are able to come forth as confident and yet very humble. And this is something that I have personally struggled with. I share this I respond with from a very personal place, because when I approach AEC teams in the industry, most times I come as very humble, but then they perceive me as someone who doesn't have the confidence. So I started to work on myself. How can I be confident and humble? And then I started to seek out mentors who have walked that path. And they were able to guide me because they have that experience. And I have a mentor who would tell me it's very possible to balance humility and be confident, and you have a fine balance. You're not coming off as proud, you're not coming off as arrogant, you're just showing that you know your onions. That's how we say it in Nigeria, you know your onions. It means that you understand yourself and you understand the dynamics of what you're saying. And so when I find that fine balance, I am not coming forth to anyone to say, I am a proud or arrogant person. I'm just very confident in my thoughts and in my opinions, but still very much respectful of the thoughts and opinions of others. So that's a fine balance to be created when it comes to authentic leadership. When you stand firm on your opinions, you also respect the opinions of others. So you're creating a fine balance between confidence and humility so that your perceptions and your perspective does not affect the perspectives of others. That's how I create that fine balance usually. And I'm thankful for the amazing mentors that have actually helped me to figure that out. I think it's a continuous process because there's never a point where anyone gets and they have it all figured out. So that's what I would say.
Well, I love that. And you introduced a concept that's pretty common to the BIM Heroes Association, and that is it's not an either or choice. It's a both and choice. And we call that quantum thinking. I love the illustration that you gave because somewhere between humility and confidence, there's always an appropriate balance. There's always an appropriate response to any given circumstance. So learning to be quantum leaders is every bit as important as present, because that's what enables us to be flexible to the moment. If we're not aware of the moment, we can't be flexible. So let me ask another question about the way in which we manage the kinds of styles of authenticity and the strategies that we have to use. ALShimaa, politics plays a big role, and I'm not talking about national politics. I'm talking about everyone's agenda, and everyone is probably possessed of a personal agenda. So when we encounter others who are obviously also working out of their personal agenda, that's a bit of a political issue. So how do we manage politics of people with different agendas while maintaining integrity? Is that something you've experienced? And if so, how can we better navigate that?
Yes, personal interest, you will face it a lot. And sometimes it's not bad. Sometimes it's just missing experience. It's not always bad. So first thing, you have to stay aligned. You have to focus on the main vision of the organization you are joining and stay aligned. If you have prepared your plan and your targets aligned with the main organization targets and vision, then you are in the right path. You have like GPS, you have your own path, okay? And then you start seeing what's coming out. If you see some kind of misunderstanding or going out of within the allowable, leave it. If it is over the allowable, start to see what is the other side problem. You can manage. Else, stick with your road. Sticking with your road and moving some development toward this real target will definitely make everybody aligned with you.
Well, again, you speak such wisdom, and one of the things that strikes me in that particular comment is when we don't see eye to eye with someone else, there's obviously a reason for that. And an authentic leader who seeks to be present wants to understand the what and the why of that difference, which means we have to learn how to have conversations with people one-on-one or in a group with whom we might disagree, but not to exert power over them, but as you suggest, to better understand the beliefs that they have and the values that allow them to take a position that we may not agree with. So both Daniel and ALShimaa, you've been extremely helpful to me. So as we close, maybe you have a final thought or something that the group needs to take away from this interview that will help us proceed down the path of authentic presence. Do you have a final thought, Daniel?
Well, I would say to all the listeners, authentic leadership isn't weakness. It just shows that you are a thoughtful leader who cares more about the team and the people than about yourself. And in this day and age, any leader that cannot show up as himself or herself, any leader who is ashamed to lead from a personal place, would find it difficult to inspire a team. If you want to use the traditional approach to command and give instructions, you're going to fail and your team is going to struggle with motivation. But if you're leading from a place to show them that you are also trying to figure out the answers, you care about them, you want them to be seen, and you want them to feel valued, they will be inspired by you. And so you will be leading through inspiration and not through imposition. And I think that is what distinguishes authentic leaders from the rest of the leaders. These are my final thoughts.
Oh, that's wonderful. ALShimaa, do you want to give us a takeaway?
First of all, evaluate yourself. Arm yourself with all the tools and the updates and be ambitious in it and eager. This is the only thing you are allowed to be eager. Move forward. Don't let yourself rotten there and don't think that you are the best ever. You can do more. Second, you can do it. Trust yourself more. Move forward. Check every and each step you are doing and look to the top. You will be encouraged to move forward. There is always a top, better and up. Stay aligned. Stay aligned with your plan. Put a plan, a good plan, and stay aligned with your plan. Okay. Put your ears always ready to hear. Hear more, respect more. Respect is a very, very important thing in this issue, because after a while you will think you have searched and you have done a lot of effort and that's enough. No, there is no enough. There is no end. Okay, hear more, respect more, and you will be better for sure.
Oh, I love that. The both of you illustrate why this group decided that you should be part of this leadership council, because you are demonstrating the kind of leadership that we're talking about today. And the value of that to me is immeasurable. And it's exactly why I am so thrilled to be part of a global organization such as BIM Heroes that is acting on, endorsing, and promoting those values of leadership that you've just expressed. And this is the second in a series of leadership interviews among the Leadership Council of BIM Heroes. The next will be at the same time on a Thursday to follow. And our friend Ralph will be interviewing 2 more of the Leadership Council members. And the topic will be resilience. That's something that's also difficult to retain in times of conflict or stress or when things aren't going as well as we thought they should. So we look forward to the next time that we get to meet and talk about leadership within the BIM Heroes. Thank you both.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you, everyone.